This episode of the TV Binges Pilot Roundtable is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Hello and welcome back to the TVBinges.com Pilot Roundtable, a Southgate Media Group podcast. I'm Kyle Tremblay, the editor of TVBinges.com, and I am joined as always by a fellow TV Binges writer. She's starring in her own sequel to Romeo and Juliet. It's Olivia Richards! Hello!
Hey, that's exactly what's happening in the month that it's been since we've last had a podcast.
Oh my goodness, it's summer vacation here on the TV Binges Pilot Roundtable, but we've invented a reason for us to return early.
We have.
We just couldn't stay away. So what we realized is that all the networks have announced their fall schedules, and those schedules, of course, include a number of new shows. And so, as has been the annual tradition here, we are going to take a network-by-network look through all the new shows and give some initial impressions that will probably be wrong. Although in most cases we'll probably hate them, so they'll be right, because that tends to be what happens with pilots.
That's a little bit accurate.
When in doubt, just say it's bad.
Exactly.
All right, Olivia, are you ready to start?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Okay, today we are talking about ABC is our first network up, and our first show up is called Conviction. And this one stars Hayley Atwell, a favorite of this podcast from who we all know from Agent Carter. And she is a bad girl who is also the former first daughter. And through a series of what I can only describe are insane events, she is put in charge of the Conviction Integrity Unit, where she commands a team of people who look into cases where there may have been a wrongful conviction. So, that's the premise of this show. Do you have any thoughts on Do you have any thoughts on this trailer?
Oh my gosh. I have a lot of thoughts, and I have a lot of mixed feelings because I'm very excited for the cast.
Sure.
But I'm not excited for the plot or the premise at all, and that's a problem.
When we talk about Fox, we're going to talk about some shows that have clear political ideologies and are like sort of thinly veiled attempts a la 24 to put forth a political ideology. I feel like ABC is probably on the other side of the spectrum in terms of this show is about wrongful convictions, which is a topic that I think people are passionate about and want to bring attention to. What's strange to me is the first daughter aspect of it, and that she is like kind of presented as this genius who's also kind of a screw-up and a party girl, but she can sort of channel the genius at times and be like the smartest person in the room. And this whole premise seems so contrived that I don't know how it's going to be possible to take this show seriously in any capacity.
That's exactly how I feel about it. And I kind of have like a weird mixed feeling whenever I see like the complicated, like screw-up woman, because I understand what they're going for, and when done correctly, it makes for like a complex narrative, but in the wrong hands, and so frequently it kind of just falls apart, is that it comes off as being very cartoonish, and it doesn't lend anything to the actual story. The reason why I'm kind of excited is because Hayley Atwell is going to be playing this main character, and I think that she can do a lot with the character, but there's only so much that you can do with the writing.
Yeah, I know Hayley Atwell is going to give a good performance. At the same time, this was a 3-minute trailer, and at 2 separate points of this trailer, does she make reference to her own chest? And I feel like that's a bad sign. That's because they're really like trying to play up the sort of bad girl sexiness of this. It's like, oh, this is probably, the writing might be a little bit rough on this one. Like they might go a little bit far to sort of prove the bad girl side of it. And that's honestly, like, having seen literally a 3-minute trailer, like, I already feel like I could lose that whole part of the show. Like, if you give me Hayley Atwell running a government unit devoted to overturning convictions and just give me that as a premise, I'm kind of into that. like that's fine. I don't need the other stuff. I'm, maybe she has some deep dark secret or something, but I don't know if I need her to be like a party girl. Like I don't know what that's getting me other than just like not buying into the show and a lot of awkwardness. So yeah, I've got to think of a rating scale for us to do for this, because we've got to like give these pilots some kind of rating. Do you have any ideas?
I don't know, because normally we do our, thumbs up or thumbs down, but that's always on the
those are ones that
we've already seen it before.
Yeah. Well, let's since I'm not creative, let's just keep doing that. So thumbs up means we're gonna check it out, or we would check it out if we weren't doing a podcast about all pilots, where we definitely check out all the pilots.
Yeah.
But you would check it out on your own. Thumbs down means nope, hard pass. So thumbs up or thumbs down on Conviction?
Oh my gosh. For me, it's going to be a tepid thumbs up. I'm curious, but I don't have high hopes.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a tepid thumbs up too. I can be a sucker for procedurals. And that's definitely what this is setting up as. If it's done well, I know I can get past that premise and sort of enjoy it as a case of the week kind of thing. But I'm very dubious that will happen. This, by the way, I took down the YouTube views for all these pilots so we can get an idea. This one has 730,000, which is on the high end, but not super high. So people seem to be interested, but maybe not super psyched. What's our next?
Go in the comment section, then you'll know that everyone's very disappointed about Agent Carter being canceled, and that this is going to be its replacement.
Yeah, seems like ABC would have made people happier just by doing another season of Agent Carter, huh?
Yeah, that seemed to be the consensus.
So what is our next ABC pilot?
All right, we are going right down the list to Designated Survivor. So this one is a Kiefer Sutherland vehicle.
Kiefer
Sutherland! So he's a second-tier cabinet member, suddenly elevated to the presidency after a catastrophe in Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on it?
Designated Survivor is a concept that I learned about maybe when I was 12 or something. Like the idea that there was one person who didn't attend every big government get-together in case everyone was killed. And I feel like even like as a sixth grader, I knew this would be a television show. Like at some point, this is one of those real life concepts that someone had to make a TV show about. I have to say, I'm a sucker for Kiefer, and he's definitely doing kind of like a Jacques Bauer in a suit thing here. Where
I got a very 24 vibe from this.
Yeah, except like he's not a secret agent, but he's also like just a random dude who becomes the president, and they're definitely like doing an underdog story with it, where he's kind of a screw up who has a lot of problems, who's definitely not fit to be president, and everyone's really skeptical of him, but you totally know that he's gonna kill it in the end.
Right.
It's like, I might be on board for this one.
Oh my gosh. And that's my thing. I thought it was like a little bit interesting because, you have the scenes where everyone's wearing, their, full suit and they look so official, and he's walking around in kind of like a schlumpy, like Cornell sweatshirt, and he just doesn't fit at all. And you have Cal Penn's character in the background being like, you shouldn't be president. And Kiefer Sutherland is like, you're probably right. I don't know. I'm like kind of interested, but I feel like with something like this, it's just going to be extremely plot heavy, and this isn't usually my avenue when it comes to TV, so I get very lost very quickly.
Yeah, I what I'm hopeful is that it sort of hits the right spot for a political drama, where it's not like, it doesn't get bogged down. It's not like West Wing, where it's very serious and sort of thriving on being very quick and smartly written. It's more like it's an underdog story that the setting is politics, and it's just every week he's going to have a crisis that he's totally ill-equipped to handle and is going to have to make it, scrumble his way through it and figure it out. And because it's Kiefer, and because it's like, I kind of liked the writing in this trailer. It was obviously like very like broad, and like, as you're saying, Cal Penn, like literally saying like, you shouldn't be president, and Kiefer's like, you're right. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I might be a sucker for this one. I'm gonna have to see the pilot, but for me, this one's a thumbs up so far.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the opposite, just because again, this isn't my go-to style of television. So if I was just left to my own devices, this is not something that I would be watching.
Yeah, 2.2 million YouTube views on this one, by the way. So everyone is as excited for Kiefer as I am, apparently.
He brought it home.
I think that is that is twice as much as the next one of the ABC pilots in terms of YouTube views. So this is a popular show. I feel like this one might be a hit, actually. Our next show, I do not feel that about, because it's called Notorious, and it's based on the cases of criminal defense attorney Mark Garagos and his relationship with cable news producer Wendy Walker. And I'm going to give you all some time to recover from your nap after that sentence, and we're good. The show is a look at the interaction between the criminal process, the criminal defense process, and the media, and their sort of symbiotic and antagonistic relationship. Hoo boy! That is a meaty topic that I do not think the public has an appetite for, is my first take.
Nope. And that's the thing. I'm like, okay, on the surface, it's an interesting premise. I mean, if we're like taking a hard look at Western media, but it's an ABC drama.
Exactly.
I can't imagine we're going to get super in-depth. And just right off the bat, like, I'm just looking at it, and it looks like it's going to be one of those very glossy dramas where everyone just looks like they know what they're doing, and they just kind of throw a bunch of terms at you, but we never actually talk about anything or critically examine anything that's going on because it's an ABC drama.
Yeah, if this show was on HBO, or even like FX, I'd be very interested in it. Cause it seems to have a very nuanced premise about the relationship between sort of the law and the media. And that's potentially interesting. But the fact that it's a broadcast network drama, just completely destroys any kind of enthusiasm I have. It just doesn't seem like a network is equipped to deal with this in the kind of nuanced way that it demands. Now, having said that, ABC of all the networks is probably the most willing to do that. If the show wants to go in that direction, ABC has American Crime, for example, which is very much a cable show that is on a network. So maybe for this one, but at the same time, like, is the audience, who's gonna watch this show? Like, who's going to get excited about the cases of Mark Garagos? Like, I just don't know what audience this show is going to have. And the fact that it has 25,000 YouTube views at this point is probably a terrible sign. But
yeah.
By far the lowest of any pilot on ABC. So...
That's the thing. If you're going for, like, the 18 to 49 demographic.
It just doesn't pop off the page, there's just nothing... and I mean, not every show needs a flashy premise, but this one's really like in the weeds already. And, yeah, so this is a thumbs down for me. I don't think I'm going to bother unless the initial reviews are very good, a la American Crime.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the same board. I'm just kind of not enthused.
Yeah. What do we got next?
All right, so this is the one that is going to be the exact opposite. So everyone needs to like wake up from their nap and
yep. Snap everyone to attention.
All right, so this one is still star-crossed. So we're going to take a trip to Shondaland.
Yes. Shondaland has time traveled, though.
It has. So essentially, it's a sequel to Romeo and Juliet. And immediately after Romeo and Juliet die, this show picks up where that left off and follows the fallout from the Montagues and the Capulets.
Yeah.
I know, this is probably exactly in your wheelhouse.
I want to hear your thoughts on this, because this show feels like it was made for you.
Basically. No, I was kind of, like, not knowing how to feel about it at first, just because I didn't know where they were going to be going. But then I saw the trailer, and it actually looks really interesting. First of all, just looking at the diversity of the cast, and because it's Shondaland, like, I think they kind of are known for exceeding when it comes to that. I don't know, it looks very kind of like fresh and interesting in a way that I didn't think it was going to. Well,
they've cast, to put a pin on that diversity point, they've cast the Capulets, that's Romeo's family, right? Am I? Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
You're
That's great English. They've cast them as black and the Montagues is white, which is like a very natural way to interpret this story through a semi-modern lens. And I think adds like a little bit to it. You know, it seems like that's a very reasonable interpretation that also adds diversity to the cast and definitely a more pronounced element of conflict between the two sides. That it's not just these two rich white families. There's clearly a difference here, a cultural difference, and I like that. I like, and you know, you could always count on Shonda shows to have a level of drama that is very high. And a level of sort of professionalism in their insanity. They're very good at like maintaining the illusion of credibility while being extremely just out there and bonkers. And I think applying that to the historical setting is a very natural move for her. You can only do so many lawyer shows. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a musical, so that's a plus for me.
I know how much you love your musicals.
Yeah, although I'm super into Hamilton, which my first musical that I liked.
Like rap.
Yeah. That was like when my love of Empire meets my hatred of musicals, my love of Empire won out. So, but yeah, like this show obviously isn't for me, as you've talked about, but like it might be interesting. It could be, you know, a fun one, especially if it gets really bonkers. Then it could be a lot of fun. So
I'm really excited, just because this is basically going to be everything that Romeo and Juliet never was. So
yes,
yeah,
right.
So no, this is a definite thumbs up for me.
Yeah, it's kind of a thumb sideways for me. I guess I'll lean towards thumbs up. I would check it out. Like, even if I wasn't required to watch it for the podcast, I'd check it out just to see if it hits me the right way. This trailer, I could not find officially posted by ABC. They've posted all their trailers. I couldn't find this one, like, officially by ABC, but the one posted by just some dude has 136,000 views, which is pretty good. So, who knows? Our next show is called Time After Time. And boy, buckle up for this one.
Here we go.
Let's buckle into the time machine, because this is a show from Kevin Williamson, the creator of Scream and numerous other shows. And the premise is as such. Jack the Ripper, the historical figure Jack the Ripper, murderer, escapes to the future in H.G. Wells' real time machine. And wouldn't you know it, H.G. Wells himself, the star of the show, chases him to the future. And so they both wind up in present-day Manhattan, where H.G., our old buddy, meets I believe a female detective who he teams up to solve the now modern-day crime spree of Jack the Ripper. While also, of course, falling in love.
Naturally.
One word, yes.
Yes, I'm so glad you're on board.
Yes. This is a big yes for me.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be my new Sleepy Hollow in a way that Houdini and Doyle sadly kind of failed.
Exactly. You're right. Houdini and Doyle, I had high hopes for. I really like this new genre of taking literary like authors from the past and casting them as the star in a supernatural crime thriller.
Oh my god, I cannot. This is everything I needed in high school and never got. So.
This trailer is out of control, and I urge you in the strongest possible terms, listeners, to go find this one. Because this is like trashy, insane TV at its finest. They're gonna definitely wrap it up in a procedural. You know, we're gonna have a murder every week that old HG has to solve. So yeah. I mean, this is like an automatic, like, thumbs up without even thinking about it for me. This is exactly the kind of show I want to check out.
Exactly. I was watching the trailer and I was like, okay. And then I turned it on and just automatically it was like, yes.
Yeah, we've included this one as the last of the ABC dramas. This is a comedy. Make no mistake about it. This is 100% a comedy show. Whether it's intentional or not, this is absolutely a comedy and will be judged as such.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Yes. So what do you... So now, speaking of comedies...
Yep.
Let's move on to that.
Yeah, so we're moving down the list, and this one has I'm really glad they didn't go with the second title. It's called American Housewife, formerly known as the second fattest housewife in Westport.
Oof.
Really, really glad that they did not go with that one.
Oofta doofta.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
So essentially, we have the housewife, who is Katie Otto, who is not a perfectly put together wife and mom that many of her fellow residents of Westport, Connecticut seem to be. The spoiler alert, she doesn't care.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts on this.
I want to hear your thoughts. This one's troubling to me.
Oh gosh. I was watching the trailer and every single joke seemed to go back to her weight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if your message is supposed to be like acceptance and learning to love yourself and, sending out a message of body positivity, this isn't it. This is the exact opposite of that. And I got a little bit frustrated watching it of, oh, she's quirky and different because she's bigger and all the other skinny moms are inherently bad people because they're skinny. I think it's just a very outdated and like narrow view of pitting women against each other. And I can't get on board with that.
She's also, and I need a way to say this that's not offensive, because I don't mean it to be offensive. She's not fat enough to justify the humor. Like if, let's say that this was like a 350-pound woman, like a big, big woman, then you could, I think, go this direction a little more. Like, because then it's like, it's a real serious problem. Like, this is a clear problem that she has, and it would kind of make sense for the comedy to be about it. And like it'd be kind of like a dramatized version of like The Biggest Loser or something, like she's overcoming it and it's uplifting. Like, and I would kind of get that, but she's still an actress in Hollywood who just isn't like deathly thin. It's like she's not, you wouldn't see her on the street and like comment on how much she weighs. And I understand that the show takes place in like a, sort of super yuppie suburban, like ultra upscale neighborhood, but come on. It's like she's not, you can't have the show about her being fat when she's like just not like actress skinny. It's like that can't be the premise of all your jokes. And so I just don't, to me, it's like, I know what they're going for. I know they're going for like she's overcoming this vibe, but it's kind of like, America Ferrera on that show, Ugly Betty, where she's actually a very, very pretty girl and they've done her up to look ugly. It's like, well, the show can be good, but it also undercuts the message of the show. When you are very specifically commenting on one trait of your lead actress, and the lead actress is not a great example of that trait in the real world. That's I think my issue with this ultimately. Is that you can't, the premise of all the jokes can't be about her weight if her weight isn't really a problem. Like really, really a problem.
No, that's exactly it. And I just, I think just getting hit on the head with it. I think if the humor was even just a little bit more subtle, but I mean, like every single joke was that. And I think I had a problem with, there was a Rebel Wilson show that had come out a while ago, and that was also my problem with that, is that it was just written in a way that, like, every single joke was just pointing to her weight.
Yes.
And I'm like, there are plenty of plus-size actresses. Like, look at Melissa McCarthy and, plenty of other actresses that are in Hollywood that, are able to be comedic actresses without every single joke having to point back to the fact that they're plus size. Like, it's just, it is possible to do. And this was just way too, like, in your face, on the nose, and, like, a little bit insulting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what we're getting out of that humor. Like, it just, you even if the show puts a positive spin on it and has her, like, win, quote unquote, at the end of episodes, it's still like, I don't know what we're getting out of it. I just don't. And that show, by the way, the Rebel Wilson show, was called Super Fun Night. If you'll remember, which I just Googled right now because it was killing me that I couldn't remember it. But yeah, you're right. It's just like, even if the show is positive overall, that's kind of negative humor, and I don't know, like, it just doesn't do it for me. So okay, that for me, that's a thumbs down.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a thumbs down for me too.
1.1 million views on YouTube though, so people seem to be interested, at least. The next one has 620,000 views on YouTube, and it's called Downward Dog. And let's buckle up once again, because we got another ridiculous premise coming down the pipe. This stars one of my favorite actresses right now, Alison Tolman, who you'll know as the one of the stars of Fargo last season. And she is a millennial who lives alone with her dog, and the show is from the perspective of the dog who narrates to the camera his thoughts. And the dog seems to be very sort of philosophical and emotional, and the show is about what the dog thinks about and sort of their relationship. So yeah, that's the premise.
That's a thing.
Yeah, what did you think of this one?
We also didn't mention that the dog has a CGI moving mouth, which
Good point.
Really think that they could have done without, because it just makes everything that was ridiculous about it just that much more ridiculous when you're watching it happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this one, because there was like that aspect of it being like heartwarming, but like kind of in like heartwarming, like I just ate Taco Bell and now I don't know what my body is doing to me. Like, I genuinely don't know.
This, I think, is the show that is most going to try to make viewers cry. I think that this is one of those comedies where you have the ridiculous of the dog's mouth moving as it talks, and you're going to have a lot of sort of jokes and stuff like that, but they're going to really try to hammer home to dog lovers, like, this is what your dog thinks about you. And really try to play that dog lover's fantasy up, like, oh, my dog has such like he's so thoughtful, and like, although I'm not throwing shade, like I don't know what dogs think, but it seems to be a very blatant attempt to appeal to people who want to think their dogs are hipsters, who think about, like, who really are deeply and having like an advanced line of thought about everything that's happening. And they're going to really try to pull some heartstrings for those people. And it really might work too. Like, this show might find an audience of dog lovers who just fall in love with this little dog. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, good or bad.
I'm not sure. And my question is also just like, how long can you sustain that?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a show that I can imagine, while it is heartwarming, like, there were really, genuine moments in the pilot, but I'm just thinking, like, even like a season in,
yeah,
how is this going to, actually sustain itself?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's going to be on Alison Tolman.
That's true.
To sort of keep the show afloat. And the dog, I don't know who's voicing the dog, but the dog, those are the two principals here. And they're going to have really great human-dog chemistry to make this one last for more than a couple episodes. But yeah, I don't know what to think about that one. HBO's getting a bit surreal, especially with the next show we're going to talk about. But
oh my gosh, speaking of ridiculousness.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to give this one like a tepid thumbs up, just because I kind of want to see what it's all about and see how they make it work.
I'm curious. I'm definitely in for at least watching the pilot and just seeing what it's going to be.
Oh, what's our last ABC show of the fall?
Oh my gosh. So we have two more, actually.
We do?
Yeah, we do. We have Imaginary Mary, which is the next on the list.
Yeah.
Again, the whole thing just doesn't stop getting ridiculous. ABC, I think, is pulling out all the punches this year.
Sure.
So, a woman's life, the woman is played by Jenna Elfman, who I love, gets upended when she meets her dream man, who's played by Steven Schneider, who you might know from Broad City, who comes with an ex-wife and 3 kids. Things get really complicated when her childhood imaginary friend, who is a CGI character voiced by the great Rachel Dratch, shows up again.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
Wowzers.
Oh my goodness. I have mixed feelings on this one, but I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like, it looks ridiculous. I like the cast. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be very good. Like, I just don't. Based on this trailer, I don't think it's going to be very good. Like, if you're going to make the surrealist premise work, it's just, you got to have kind of a special alchemy. And just based on the 3-minute trailer, I don't know. I just don't know.
That's kind of my thought, and my thought would be, I think this would have been really good as, like, a Netflix original movie. I don't think this necessarily works as a television show, but I think if you gave it an hour and a half as a film, and it could be wrapped up quickly, there's enough there that you could make something really, really good, but not enough to stretch out to fill an entire television show worth of plot.
Yeah, that's a great point, because this one has a real risk of falling. In fact, based on this trailer, I'm going to say it has fallen into the trap of clueless woman meets, like, put together man. And he is charmed by her cluelessness, but also, like, she's incapable of living a life, like, without this man to help her through it. And now, without this man or this imaginary helper, it's like, I don't know. Like, to me, that's like a very iffy, icky kind of premise where you have, I mean, she really, like, based on the trailer, kind of falls into the manic pixie dream girl kind of thing where she just can't sort of navigate life, and seems like they like specifically say, like, he tells her, like, oh, you're not very good at this, and she's like, nope. It's like, oh, really?
Here we go.
Like, it's great to have awkward characters. We're all awkward, but there's a line. So yeah, I don't think this one's going to be very good.
I don't think so. And there's part of me that I really do. I think it is going to be a thumbs up for me, because I'm just curious about the pilot, because there was enough in the trailer where I love Rachel Dratch and I love Jenna Elfman, and I want to see good things. So I just, out of a sixth sense of curiosity, want to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, this is a thumbs down for me. I'm going to go ahead and say this one's going to be bad.
Yeah, I have a feeling, but I'm being optimistic.
So our final show, which I have located during that last time, is called Speechless, and it stars Minnie Driver. And it's a family comedy about parents of a child who has cerebral palsy, and the mother Minnie Driver is very is a big advocate for her son, and it's about sort of her and her husband's fight to get him kind of equal, fair treatment at school, everywhere else. So, what do you think about this one?
This is my most anticipated pilot of that ABC is going to be premiering. I'm extremely excited about this one. I think first and foremost, just seeing a cast led by Minnie Driver after watching like About a Boy, and just knowing that she has a capability to lead like an ensemble cast like this. What I'm actually really, I think, the most excited about is they actually got the actor who plays the kid with cerebral palsy is played by an actual actor who has cerebral palsy. His name is Micah Fowler. I'm extremely excited for that. I think there is comedy in this that's going to be coming from a very like genuine place that actually is going to have something to say. And just in terms of having that kind of representation on a network comedy is going to be a huge step forward.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I didn't know that about the actor, but I was going to say, like, it would be ridiculous to get an actor who doesn't have cerebral palsy to like do an impression, but then that's what TV always does. So it's like it is like a good step forward. And this is again the second, I think, ABC show that has a sort of clear point of view and could be taken in like a political context, where it's like, this is a show that is, I think, either directly or indirectly advocating for people with disabilities, which I think is a very noble cause. And yeah, I mean, Minnie Driver leading it. I think the trailer was pretty good. I think there was some good jokes in there. I think that there's definitely a tightrope to walk where they can't make the world too terrible. They have to sort of pick and choose their spots, or else the show will end up being... they have to do what Parks and Rec did after the first season, which is really pay attention to the relationship between the central character, in that case Leslie Knope, and the town that she's in. I think this show really needs to gauge and monitor how outraged Minnie Driver is going to be at the world around her, so it doesn't just constantly like devolve into shouting matches over this heroic mother and the terrible people who want to deny her son like basic rights. It's going to have to be a little bit of that, because that certainly happens in the real world, and that's part of this, but that can't be all that the show is. And so that's what I'm most interested in this one, is how they're going to make this funny and make this meaningful and poignant when they don't just have an obvious, like, bumbling villain that they can put down. Because if the show is just going to be a string of villains who are, like, clearly wrong, then it's going to get boring within the first episode. So I'm very interested how that's going to play out.
And I think that's a really good point. And also just, like, even in the trailer, I liked how they very much humanized Minnie Driver's character, and that, you know, she had these moments where she got outraged, and for very, very good reason, but there were people who were talking her down, saying, you know, like, there's a point, you know, there's the other son in the equation who's being kind of moved around everywhere at the mom's kind of beck and call to, you know, kind of suit the other son's needs. And obviously it's not fair to the family. And I think there are some really, really good points that the show is going to touch on that I'm really excited to see.
Absolutely. So I think both of us give this one a thumbs up, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Pretty easy call. Okay. We have made it through ABC, and now I'm going to spring this on you, because we're gonna get a game here where we can keep score and determine a winner. Okay, I want you to pick one show that you are absolutely sure of is going to succeed, and by succeed, I'm saying both make it through the season. Let's just say that, make it through a season. Like, you know that this show is not going to be canceled after one season. It's going to get a full season. It's not going to be bumped to Saturday. Ratings are going to be fine. It's got a chance to be renewed. Do you have one show out of this list on ABC that's going to do that?
Oh my gosh. I think for me right now, that show is going to be Speechless.
Interesting.
Really good feeling about that one.
Interesting. I think I'm going to go with Designated Survivor. I think it's going to make it. I think it's going to be a hit. And now, for the other side of that prediction, one show, what is the first show on ABC that will be canceled?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Just based off of the ridiculousness alone, I'm gonna have to go with Downward Dog.
Wow. Oh, that's actually a really smart choice. Because that could go badly.
I can't, unfortunately, as heartwarming as it looks, I can't imagine how it's going to sustain itself.
How many weeks is it going to last? Let's see if we can nail one of these.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Maybe it's going to make it through, like, the first, 5 episodes.
5 weeks. Okay, you got 5 weeks for Downward Dog. I've got 2 weeks for Notorious. I've got 2 episodes done for Notorious.
That's a very good point.
All right. So now we'll keep track and revisit that once shows start to get canceled, and we'll make a whole little game out of it. Okay. So next time when we come back, we'll be talking about CBS, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. So you've been listening to the Pilot Roundtable, a Southgate Media Group production. You can follow Olivia and I on Twitter at Richards Olivia, and at Kyle Loves TV. And you can read what we write online at tvbinges.com. Until next time.